Proxy Table Gaming, here to roll in round 4 of March for Victory. I'm Hyper G, he's Lucky Sixes.
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
Lucky Sixes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll do.
And Hyper G.
Well, that works all right, actually. Yeah.
On PTG.
Oh, nice. That's a new jingle. Move
New
aside,
jingle.
Matt Pell.
Right,
We
yes.
don't need your jingle anymore.
In fact, Matt Pell, if you could turn that into a Rocky...
Oh, yes. Absolutely. That could be like year 3 of the remix. To be honest, Matt Pell is a very talented musician. I'm sure he could do it.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Anyway, here we are for some bat reps. Let's do something we're actually good at.
Okay. You just copied and pasted vampires twice.
I have.
I have to redo it.
And for reasons, because we got a lovely... Day 2, we were against Paul and Tony and Tom Clues and Ali Parent.
The
Team Lions. Yeah, because we were doing okay-ish in terms of the tournament. So we were.
Well, you'd had a little boost in round 3 off of
We did. It was
only
a nice
blocks
little
of
boost.
horses kind of gave you a little foot up.
They did, and the Lions were riding high at that moment as well.
They were.
So
well.
yeah, we got matched up, and there was a lot of smack talk going around as well, which is very nice. And I got Paul, which is good because we play quite a bit.
He gives you a lot of banter, doesn't he?
He does. He's great. He's great.
Fantasy Wargaming Podcast
on the Wargaming podcast for Fantasy.
For Fantasy, yeah.
But yeah, so it was really good to play. We haven't played too
Paul's
much.
Smack Talk. I love Paul's Smack Talk. It's so good. He makes you believe it.
Absolutely. He's very confident with it. But yeah, it was good to. I don't think we played too much in a tournament setting. We played a lot on the club, just chilling.
I've never played in a tournament either.
Nice to actually play in a tournament, which is good. We all know my list: Wraiths, Courtiers, Skelly Block, the Court of the Damned, get big unit ghasts, some Vampire Knights. Some would say not enough, and some chaff to go with it. So yeah, Paul's list. So he also has a big Skelly block with Legion Banner and 2 vampires in it. He also whacks in the Banshee there just for extra measure, which is good. He's got ghouls as well, so that's a bit of a mirror. He's got ghast as well, but he's got just the ghast rather than someone in there. He's got Vampire Knights, but more and better because they're banner of speed and 6 of them and full command.
Far better.
And basically, the change. I've got the ethereal stuff, so the Phantom Hosts and the Wraiths, whereas he's got the Vampire Knights. Spawn, sorry.
And the Spawn.
Yeah. His only
it's
real...
interesting because it's quite a different setup in terms of what it does.
So,
but it looks like the same units.
It looks very similar, but what I think Paul does really, really well in his list building is that there aren't many soft points here. Obviously the zombies are rubbish, but there's a good amount of them, and so there's still bodies.
They can increase,
and that can be 72 like that. So don't worry about it. So his only real chaff is his great bats, and he uses them very, very well with his Vampire Knights because obviously they're the ones that like a charge, if possible. Yeah. So he puts them behind them, which it makes it very, very difficult to actually get them. So with all his characters in his skeleton unit, his ghouls, which have 40, zombies, which have 36, and the vampire spawn and ghasts having big numbers, because there's 24 wounds in each one of them, and the vampire knights having 2 up. There's no soft points. No. You can't just, I'll get a bit of that, going for a 13. You have to go for the throat with Paul's list, and which means he can actually... I guess he either loses big or wins big, generally speaking.
It's what he wants, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I like about Paul's stuff when he does it. But yeah, so very similar. He's got a Master Evocation. I've got a Master Evocation. He's got an Adept Cosmo. I've got a Master Occultism. And that's
Mysteries of the Night has really opened up magic scope for vampires, isn't it? Because I don't think they used to be able to get Cosmo, could they?
No, so you can get Cosmo or Shamanism. I want to say, it might be Witchcraft. Actually, you might be right. because you get Evo and occultism normally. But yeah, so no, it's really really cool. And we'll see how we go. Dawn Assault, secure target, and this is how we looked. So we did a tiny bit of back and forth, but I ended up dropping for first.
Yay!
Which in a vampire Roth is actually quite bad. It isn't like necessarily the
target,
most.
You advantage going second potentially.
So a lot of I basically had the opportunity to drop first so that I could get things in positions, and I thought that was more important than anything.
But on the last move, yeah.
So. Because we both knew going second was the best thing, but but I went for that, and this is after movement. So you've got the secure targets. We split them up as well, so it's very much his one was on the left next to his zombies. My one's on the right, just behind where we are in the forest, next to my ghouls. So I kind of.
But he has nothing challenging that in theory.
No, he's got his ghouls opposite. So in terms of deployment, he's got zombies on the left, vampire spawn, then the vampire knights with the great bats behind, the big skelly buck with all the characters, ghasts, and ghouls. I've got so this was after as well because I dropped for first. I've got my vampires on vampire knights with my wraiths who have at this stage they've moved and magic moved. Over to this point, so they actually started on the right, believe it or not, where the impassable house is. Because I put them there because they're pretty safe and they can get around and things like that.
All deployed on the other side,
Yeah, so that's actually after a 12-inch move march and then a 12-inch magic move, which is interesting. Then I've got phantom hosts. I've got my 2 dogs in front, ready to get up and chaff. Then my ghast behind that wall. I actually thought if he comes towards me, the wall might be pretty important for a thing. So I kind of like that position. My skeletons started straighter, and then are coming round basically so that house doesn't get in the way of them charging anything or anything like that. And my ghouls are just going up, looking at that. Pretty happy going ghouls on ghouls because
that was the objective. I thought.
Yeah, and that's the objective. Much. So if he wants to come round, my thought is my thought process is my ghouls go up, get the objective, make sure nothing else comes at it. If he goes towards that, my skeletons will then go that way, and I'll be pretty strong over there. With my skeletons and all that stuff and the ghouls. So pretty happy with that. And if he goes, and basically I want to see what I can do to make a play for that one on the left. If I have a decent amount of chaff, if I can save the chaff and move up my vampire knights and chaff his counter charges, I don't care about getting charged by zombies, that's fine. But if I can chaff his actual units on turn 6, get within 6, then that's the play. So really thinking about how I can try and win the objective, and that's about it really. Not really thinking about his units and things like that. Having said that, I'm pretty happy with the ghasts up against the skeleton block. I don't think he'll do too much to me, and I know that with a bit of magic support I can do stuff to him. Happy enough with the vampire spawn over there, to be honest. I think if they come forwards, I think my vampire knights zone them pretty well as well. So yeah, I'm happy enough with deployment and stuff, and we'll see how it goes. I get a Dance Macabre and Raven's Wing. Although, having said that, I think actually I do get double movement. I'm not sure. This is something I'd like to you guys.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure you can magic move twice.
No, I don't think you can either.
But we did it, and we didn't think anything of it. And I'd never got the opportunity to magic move anything twice. So perhaps this was wrong.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do a sweeping attack twice. I know that.
No, I know you can't sweep an attack, and that was the thing. But whether you can be targeted and move by magic. But he let them both off, and I didn't think anything of it at the time.
Yeah, a unit can only perform a single magical move per magic phase.
So they've actually gone a bit further than they should have.
But I mean, technically, you know, in order to cast it twice, you haven't cast something else, so it's not a huge advantage. So you
it's not, and
something else,
it's more just redeploying them and stuff like that. So, there's that. Over to his turn, he moves up ever so slightly. Vampire Knights on the hills, good position for him, and otherwise just moves up. So that he gets a Cosmo, I think, Ice and Fire off here. Only kills 2, so that's pretty happy. I'm pretty happy from that point of view. And then on to my turn again. They're not very long turns or anything like that because there's not a lot to it. He did start moving his vampire spawn this way, and that kind of gave me an inkling of that. We know where they're going to be ending up. They don't want to go for the vampire knights. They want to go in. On the other side, where I'm looking like I'm not looking really. Only the ghouls are there, so that's interesting to me. On my turn, I move up so that my skeletons are actually where the vampires are. That haven't come out of the unit. Don't worry. I move my dogs back next to the ghouls, just so that they can be chaff later on, and my dogs. Otherwise I just sort of shuffle around. Phantom Host, I'm pretty happy if he goes into me with his Vampire Knights because he hasn't got much in the way of magical attacks, and then he's over here so I can sweep him. Basically, is what I'm aiming to do with that. And if not, they're going to be. I just need to make sure that I'm within 12 so that if I go forwards, I can chaff him and get. So that it's always a bit of a shuffling in order to try and get the chaff on turn 6. That's the game. Yeah. I was a little bit frustrated that I then moved my wraiths all the way over here so that they could get targeted by magic missiles. That was annoying. I knew why I wanted my wraiths over here, which was for his vampire knights, but I completely forgot about magic. So I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I get another magic move off on the wraiths to get them in the corner, which is I didn't mind because it meant that they were further away from the magic missiles and closer to the vampire knights. And also, if the vampire knights now go into my phantom host, I can counter charge as well. So I'm pretty happy with where they're going, apart from being so close to magic missiles. Otherwise, this is at the end of the turn. That actually might be at the end of his movement. Again, not doing too much. Vampire spawn are coming over. He's sort of waiting until he can get a vampire spawn in a decent position. Otherwise, just coming up ever so slightly forward so that he's just in range. I think he has the plus range on his. I think it might be Cosmo or one of the guys, one of the magic users through Nosferatu. I can't remember what. I can't remember what it's called.
He likes that. It's
but it is really good. It is really good because you get plus 6 range on stuff. So
Paul's used that before.
He's just moving up basically so that he's just within range of the wraiths over on that side, which is fair enough.
Is it arcane knowledge?
That's it. He gets another 2, which again I think is fairly lucky. I'm only taking 2 and 2 for magic missiles. They do have a 5 of ages against it, to be fair, but they're only res 3, so I count this as pretty nice. Excuse me. On my turn, I moved my
dogs are just. We don't know where we're going.
Absolutely. I kind of just like saving them as much as possible. And I get to this point and I go, you know what? If I have 3 units of chaff over there, then I've got even more chance to
get to the knights,
get to the knights on turn 6. So like he can kill one of the units fine, but then I've got another unit. So that's my plan with moving them over this way. Because I don't think I'll need them, the ghouls on ghouls. If he charges his ghouls, he hasn't got many attacks into mine. He will go first, but he hasn't got many attacks, and then I've got loads of attacks at him, and it's whether or not I can do more than his plus 3 static res can do. So that's Horde versus thing at the minute.
Paul's probably the only person I know that plays ghouls 5 wide, and he loves it. He loves doing that.
Yeah, it's very viable because they're res 4 core blocks, so they're harder to kill. I guess is the idea. I moved my skeletons over this way onto the wall again, just going, you know what, if they come in with distracting as well, I'm going to rinse anything that comes to me. So they're just ultra safe.
So the way you're playing so far in this one, it looks like it's a bit of a stare off.
Yes, very much so.
Going into this battle, the way it's looking now, were you playing to not lose big?
Yeah, so
because I'm intrigued. This is like your turn 3 or maybe 4?
3.
Your turn 3, I think. And you haven't gone anywhere. He hasn't really gone anywhere either. So are you both thinking you don't want to lose big here?
Yeah, I think...
in case it goes wrong.
In the mirror matchup, he doesn't have too much in the way that can get my... One-on-one, we sort of trade things. Like my Skelly block, I don't think the things that are matched up against it can go against it. But he has a lot of stuff that can pin me for multiple turns and me him. So the trouble is, if either of us actually goes in and makes a play, the other one has tools to get into the flanks of things, and anything in the flanks of skeleton units or his ghoul units or anything just wipes out those units because of crumble. So we really have to be careful not to do that. He's got his vampire spawn, which can go around the flank, and it was a running joke all the way through that because I got in round 2, I got charging the flank with war dancers. That
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah, well, it was because it was like, well, yeah, I'm going to get in your flank with these vampire spawn. I was like, oh, right, okay, so yeah, but so you basically, if someone makes a mistake, I think the other person has a lot of stuff that can trap with chaff, because we've both got the raised dead as well, so we're very good at that.
By then it's too late. The trap is sprung.
Yes, and stuff. So I think that was it. I also wanted to try and get an objective win and see if I could. I didn't want to commit to anything unless I could double down on it. So, for example, I didn't want to go against the ghouls and push up on them hard unless I could get my skeletons in as well as my ghouls. So I wanted to make sure of everything, really. So a lot more tentative, but Paul's a good player. You know, we know he's really a good player.
We do.
And I felt going into this, I had the tools to win, not by much, but I also had the opponent to lose big if I made too many mistakes. So I just didn't want to make a mistake.
Which is fair enough.
So that's the safeness. The wraiths are now over here, so that he has to move his skeleton block to actually get in.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me. Which pulls them away from where I think the main action is going to be.
Yeah. Sure.
So I'm pretty happy with that.
Deceptive Glamour?
I think something like that. No, I got Deceptive Glamour just to get Evil Eye off.
Oh, sure, yeah. So your vampire's got Glamour.
So he's got Banner of Speed, but I'm now movement 8 as well.
Hey!
So I was like,
I take your Banner of Speed and I raise you an Evil Eye.
Absolutely. So that was all that was for, really. Goodness me.
Whereas you could have just taken more knights and then they would have been great anyway, you know.
I also have a few dice, so I get a rise off just to bulk up my skeletons for later on.
Good old sideways picture as a blast.
I know, yeah. It was, but yeah, so onto his movement. His vampire spawn come round to.
They're getting there. They're getting there.
Intent.
In turn 13, they're going to be in your flank.
Yeah. His skeleton block has gone right over to go and get the wraiths.
So they went for it.
Yeah, and again, I'm not too fussed because I can chaff both with one of my chaff units.
I mean, that suggests to me that Paul is also playing the same way you're playing.
Absolutely, and
he doesn't expect to be able to make the move that will press the game. So he's going for your small points, getting the race via magic, and he's just going to keep the rest.
Yeah,
and if he gets a chance with his spawn in the flank, then so be it.
For sure, and I think that's I think up to now we were both kind of from the opposition's point of view, very like I'm not doing anything, not doing anything.
No,
and at now point, I think he sort of signifies that he's going to put those 3 units into the ghouls over that side if possible. He's going to put those 3 units on that side into the wraiths and the secure the objective. So it's whether or not I can do anything to try and stop that. Over here, I chaff the skeletons because I think if they come forward, it doesn't really do anything. And also, it's now currently blocking the wraiths from any Cosmo magic missiles. So I'm happy for that. I just turn my ghouls around so that there's no flanking this turn. I move my skeletons ever slightly that way, and my gas go back on the wall. Because they're like, you know what? That's what we'll do. Otherwise, I put my other chaff over this side. They're out of line of sight of the gas, so there's no long charge there. And my spirit hosts come up as well, pretty safe at that point. There. I get a raised dead to chaff his guys, which is really cool. It means that if he comes towards me, he's got
layer of protection.
Got to take DTs. He'll be really close to me. I'll be able to get into him, and if he doesn't come into me, I've got him chaffed for the rest of the game. I think with this one, I did it with 3, and he failed to dispel. I think he did try and dispel this, which is actually quite crucial for those reasons. Basically, if he charges in, I go in with both and probably take the gas out, and if he doesn't, I'm there for the rest of the game chaffing him. And or until until it suits
potentially
me,
that frees up your skeletons to go against his ghouls if necessary.
Which is it. So I think so I think I can't remember what he rolled. I presume 3 dice and failed to dispel.
To try and get an 8.
To try and get 8. Or it was 2 dice on a 4 or something like that. It's just something that he probably should have got.
Just unfortunate
and didn't
dispel.
But actually it's pretty important from my point of view. And that's just to show you.
Rub it in the face.
I also get Raven's Wing off on here.
Get them out of there.
To get them right at the back.
That's a situation when you wish you could move them further back.
Yeah, but again, the other thing I was annoyed at, I felt like putting these bait in his skeletons to come closer was fine.
Sure.
The thing I was annoyed at is that there is no heal over here. So
no.
I just need a heal to make it even more annoying. I'm making him work for the points, but it was just I didn't quite think that plan fully through. There's a few things.
Could they have stood directly behind the Vampire Knights and been hidden because your Vampire Knights are tall?
Yeah, they could. The other, but I wanted his skeleton block to move closer so that I could chaff them easier.
Yeah,
well.
it's a risky one.
A bit of that. The other thing, obviously, being over here, they can't march because there's no vampiric general. So it is. I felt like the idea was good, but it wasn't fully thought through with the Wraith. So I kind of wish I'd just stayed on that side and just gone round. But it was to try and get at the things. Now it's just to keep them alive, really.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So his Vampire Knights move back, which is great. He charges the dogs to get rid of them. This is his turn 5, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so.
He doesn't charge the raised dead skeletons or whatever they are.
This might be bottom of the 4th, actually.
Sure. But yeah, so because he's done some wounds to the Vampire Knights as well.
It looks like he's got 4 magic cards, so
yeah. So just moving up and how it is. Obviously, I'll move us because there's something important going on in that top right.
They've finally made it.
The vampire spawn are right over now. To do that. Again, I'm not too fussed because of that raised dead. I can move my skeleton block right over. I can turn my ghouls around. It's not the end of the world. I just don't want him to be able to get that objective.
Flank and front charge.
Yeah. So there's that. As I said, he did. I think I can't remember what he had that was good.
Must have been evocation.
Yeah.
X spell or something.
Yeah, so maybe hasten the hour or something like that.
Because he's in combat with his casters. So
but does a few wounds
bad.
there. Obviously kills them. That's fine. And it just turns to face like so. This is after my turn again. My dogs are out of line of sight of everything. My raised dead are just chaffing his gas so that my skeletons can now come towards and threaten the ghouls. It doesn't look like. It looks like I've just left the vampire spawn in the flank, but I don't know whether that ends up being the case. But we'll see.
I mean, that would be a prophecy and a half.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think it's a long chat. I think anyway, but I'm not sure. I've got a feeling I changed that. But yes. Anyway, so at this point, I'm finding because his skeleton block is moved forward on the left side, it's going to be a bit trickier for me to chaff him and then go up to the objective. Because I need to make sure he can't charge me. But the dogs are that.
And you're running out of stuff for that.
Yeah, my dogs can at the minute get past his skeletons in order to chaff. So there's that, and obviously I've got Raven's Wing over there as well for a magic move. So
you don't want to be relying on a magic move to chaff.
Not one as well. Not one.
Yeah.
Over here, this is just showing. Oh, I get a raised dead in front of the ghouls, I think. And
bring them, even more of them.
And bring more back, but it's
Did you run out of zombies?
Yeah. Well, no, we did it for time because it was like I can put them out, but you're going to charge them and kill him, and so there's so over here he's doubled down on the objective. That's pretty much me out for the count over there, and and at this point there's no point moving stuff forwards if I can't get the objective because it's just losing points. And not many points have been taken either side at this point. So
every point is crucial. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that plan probably I probably needed my skeleton block over there in order to properly execute that, and because that's not the case.
Well, now that his skeletons have come this way, that was pretty much the curtain call for that. Side,
yes, yeah. But
if the skeletons go the other way, then you've still got to play. But...
Yeah. So, but what it has done, so he sort of countered my objective play, but what it has done is means that all of the magic has been on the wraiths, and they've killed 4 wraiths all game. So that's actually not too bad. You know, like if I can keep them and the vampire knights alive. Pretty much that's his whole magic phase gone to get after them. So I'm happy enough. I think there are things I could have done better on that side, but yeah. On the other side though, I move up the skeletons. Oh no, this is his turn, isn't it? He charges the raised dead, moves his vampire spawn right behind.
They are very much in the flank now.
Yeah. The one thing I've got in my head is even if he charges the ghouls, I don't have a problem with going against vampire spawn because of poison, and I'm only wounded on 5, so it's not like the end of the world. And then if we're in prolonged combat, which he should be, because I don't think he does 40 wounds, even after crumble, then I get rerolls to hit. So like, if I can get some magic defense on them before he comes in, that's great. The other thing is if I can maneuver it so that he goes into me where he has to be within 6 of the court, he's going to be acting really after me, so he'll be up to agility 5, I think, which goes down to agility 3, and I'm agility 4. So if he goes into the ghouls when he has to be near my court, I actually go first, and if that happens, I think that's his I will do.
He'd have half attacks,
reduce his attacks. Yeah, I think I'm pretty good, so I don't mind too much over that. So I'm just thinking that's what I've got in my mind over there.
The court's so good.
He gets a raised dead, which I think I let off at this point because I can't get the objective play. So I just I let him do that. That's fine. He also moves up his skeletons right up close to there. I think he gets another vampire knight perhaps. Raises dead as well, so that he's chaffing all 3. Fair enough. At this point, it doesn't really matter. Once I let the raise dead off, it was largely irrelevant what happens here. Excuse me. He kills
your skulls,
both the raise dead as predicted.
Oh, here we go. Some action.
Yes. So I want to go back and get to this point. So this is probably the second biggest moment. So far, the biggest moment's the Raised Dead getting off. That's really helped me play safe and everything.
Yeah.
The second biggest moment in this battle is this moment coming up. I have... Paul's obviously gone in to double up on my ghouls. My ghouls need a 5 to get into his ghouls, which is obviously always great from that point of view, from my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
The skeletons need a 8 to get into his vampire vampire spawn.
Yeah. That's risky.
I think it's an auto charge to get into his ghouls. So I said to him at this point, I said, I think if this was a singles, I think I would go after your vampire spawn. Because if I get in, then
vampires kill the spawn, yeah.
We absolutely just obliterate them. The other thing is, if I fail, I only go forwards a little bit. My ghouls go into his ghouls, chow down on them,
of the spawn,
and my court would probably be within 6 inches of my rear. So that if he charges, I would still go first. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it was with not as many attacks.
No.
But I might be able to turn round at that point, but we'll see. But if I obviously now at this point, if I don't get in, he can move everything around and all that. So yeah, I played it safe, but I think the more risky to get more points for a bigger win is this point here, where I go after the vampire spawns. I didn't. Yeah. I went for the as we see
for the team.
The picture. I played for the small win because it's still 555 points, and at this point, I haven't lost anything. No, chaff 138.
Yeah, it's interesting how you've completed the combat there. Should the court have been in? Should you have your less ghouls in? Or
no? So it counts as
right?
it'll be as many models.
Units in.
Yeah, so you can. It's just models. It's just I have to get as many models in as possible.
Okay, they're not as many models from each side, from each unit.
No, it used to have to maximise models, and because I can't get because of the court going in was far over. Yeah. I couldn't get my general. Basically, he was the guy on the left, so I only need to clip with him. I do actually clip with him, if that's what you mean. Yeah. So the court is touching on the diagonal.
Oh, the court is. Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's because of the movement train. Fair enough. So I'm actually 1 over. So he's on the diagonal. Okay. I'm with you. So I get the main impact hits, which is good as well. Yeah, nice. So I go in like this. I'm expecting to do a bunch on the ghouls.
You need to now because the counter charge is.
Well, I mean, it could get into my flank, which is that's an interesting one. I think it's rear at this point as well, but we'll
it's close, isn't it?
Yeah. But regardless,
it will be if he kills a few as well.
He could go into the ghouls as well, but I'm expecting to do at least 1 wound, which means I would hit first and rerolls to hit. So go into my things, but we'll see what happens basically. This is remaining moves. I go into the Raised Dead zombies with my dogs, but I don't really. There's nothing really there. I've moved my vampire knights as far back as possible to. At this point, this is kind of a chump move though. I thought it was like, oh yeah, as you said, I'll just protect my wraiths so we can't see me.
Evocation won't need line of sight though, will it?
Evocation doesn't, but also it's his turn 6, at the bottom of 6 next. So it means that he can just move his 12-inch vampires out of the unit without any care, and there's plenty of lines of sight that you can do. So that was a bit silly, really. If I was to do that, I'd have to go conga, really, and move like that. But it is.
I think evocation being hex spells is probably
Well, there's that as well, but that only kills like 2 or 3. You know, that doesn't kill. No, enough. And I've got 5 there at the minute, so. Yeah, I suppose the normal one. But yeah, so this is how everything else looks. I get 2 spells. I get rerolls to wound off on my ghouls, which is just considering they're gonna get rerolls to hit, just absolutely amazing. And Hand of Glory off on my whole unit of skeletons.
That's one of your favorites.
It's just amazing. It's just having skeletons with parry and 5 of Ages is insane. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this combat. Obviously, he's got rerolls to hit on his ghouls as well, because I've given him.
You're not tempted to put Hand of Glory on the ghouls, or do you
no,
think that would have
for the reason
gone
that
into the skeletons?
Yeah, I want him. No, I want him to. I want him not to go against my ghouls, but he won't because I'm rerolling to hit, rerolling to wound,
and attacking first.
I'm going first.
Yeah, sure.
I might even pump him out straight. At that point, as soon as he let Spectral Blades off, it's all about this unit, and I think I possibly diced him on hand. I can't remember the rest of the magic, but to get 2 spells off.
Yeah,
big like that. I think I diced him on Hand of Glory.
Yeah.
It sounds like
because what are you dispelling if not those two?
Yeah, for sure. At this point in the game, I go in, do a bunch of wounds. He reforms. Don't worry about it. Just as a picture. And this is him.
Oh,
this is the end.
Ghouls are dead.
This is the last one. So the ghouls, I killed the ghouls outright for crumble. I just obliterated. The rerolls to wound was just insane.
And your combat res, yeah.
And the impact hits, combat res, they died. I turned to face both of my units like this. So his vampire spawn were in the front. His ghast were in the rear.
Oh yeah.
He does actually get. He passes a frenzy check to not go in with the vampire spawn.
Okay.
So he decides not to because he doesn't want to lose them, which I think is right. I think we did it out afterwards, and I didn't quite kill him or something.
Okay. But long term, it wouldn't have gone well for him.
Yeah, I don't think so. He puts his gas in. I don't do too many wounds to him, and he doesn't kill 70 skeletons, which is obvious, really. He chooses not again, and this is probably a moment from his point of view in terms of a team thing. He chooses. I think he could have gone into my ghouls, but with my court there, I honestly don't see with reels to hit, reels to wound, and striking first. I just don't see how he could ever make that thing. But I guess there is an argument to say that he could try and get the ghouls out. I'm obviously scoring the objective, and in the end, it's a bit of a fizzles out kind of thing over here. But I have got the ghouls.
The ghast didn't kill loads of skeletons then? His ghast?
No. I've got 70, so even if he kills 20, I lose, which is quite a lot for ghast. They're only strength 4, and I've got Hand of Glory up.
Interesting question here.
Yeah.
If he does kill like 40 skeletons, right? Let's just say 40 because it's easy number. Whether he will or not, it's unlikely. But the way that his ghasts are overrunning into your ghouls, that means his ghasts can't move forwards as they kill skeletons, right?
Yeah, they'd be out of combat, yeah.
So, does that mean the skeletons move back?
No, I think I move back, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, potentially, if he kills loads of skeletons, you then are more than 6 inches away from the objective.
I think my ghouls are in, from what I remember.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, okay.
But yes, yeah. But I mean,
that would have been horrible if you'd have started losing skeletons. And
with Hand of Glory, I was I was pretty happy because in order to do 40, he has to do 60 wounds, and I don't think he's even got.
And exactly.
Well, I'm not even sure it's possible, even if he hits some wounds with everything, So
and you'd have a 6-up armor save as well. Woohoo!
But so I wasn't too bothered about the gas going in. Basically, this was to mitigate his whole play on the vampire spawn. Because obviously there's nothing to score in, so I'm always going to get the objective. It's just whether or not he gets any points. And I was pretty happy with how the game went. I said at this point I was like, you know what, this is probably the best team tourney game I've played. Out of any game I've ever played, and the way I played it and stuff.
You kept it tight.
Kept it tight, kept options open throughout, and so I was really happy actually with how it played. And
keep the points for your ghasts or your wraiths?
Yes. So the only other picture I didn't get was he got half points for the wraiths, I think.
Sure. Yeah. So not much. Points
so not many points on either side. As you can imagine, it ended up a 10-10 just. Yeah. So I think the wraiths pulled it back to a 10-10. But or I've swapped the things, as Paul always says. So maybe I've done that, but
actual 10-10 draw.
Yeah. So no, yeah, really, really fun. Thanks very much, Paul. We were both really, because it was we would go straight into lunch and stuff. We didn't really get time to chat and review afterwards, but it was we're both really interested on how the other one thought about the matchup compared to what we'd be.
There's a lot of psychology in that one.
Yeah, there was. So yeah, I think we'll definitely meet up and chat about that game. It was really good. But let us know what you thought about the game. Whether you thought I was being too safe, because that is a
board draw.
Probably as well the one of my longest bat reps as well at 40 minutes.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it was just one of those with board draw. Nothing really happened, but really so much happened. But yeah,
all up there. Yeah, it was all
it
going
was
on in my games. Yeah,
but yeah, really fun game.
Great.
Let us know what you thought, and like, share, subscribe, all that jazz.
How did your team get on?
Yes, in terms of the team, so I was actually the only one to get to remain unbeaten in this matchup.
I see.
But I think this whole round shows you teams and how points here and there can really change it. So we lost 46-34, which sounds like quite a big loss, considering the cap is 50-30. However, I drew 10-10 with Paul. We had Cluzy won 11-9 against Wes.
Close, yeah.
Tony Hale beat Tanker 13-7.
Okay.
And Ali beat Hugh 12-8.
Really close.
All the games were really, really close. And like two, the biggest one was an objective win, I guess, 13-7. You could call it. And it was 46-34. So I think to anybody, and this was a round that really showed me as a noob to relative noob to team tournaments, how like every point matters and
every little decision.
Every little decision really matters. And I guess how it can change, obviously, within, if you're on other team tournaments, you can have captains coming to you or coaches telling you, push, go for that 8 charge on the vampire spawn because we really need points, that sort of thing. So this was a really interesting game for me in terms of player as a team tournament, as part of a team. And I feel like that whole round and like those matchups really highlighted to me that a lot of stuff that everyone's already been saying to me. So yeah, it was really, really interesting, and I really liked the thing. Lions as well with that biggish win. We're in a good position. So going into round 5, so we'll hear about them in a few bat reps time as well.
Definitely great, good stuff. All right, so we're rolling into round 5, final round. Only Blocks and Horses playing Team Chump for the glorious lower end of the table.
Absolutely.
And yourselves looking to, sort of pick it back up and maybe podium.
Probably podium is, if we get a big win, we can podium, I think.
Yeah. Okie doke, great. So join us for round 5 very shortly, folks. And thank you always for your support, etc. See you there.
See you later.